Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga Ki Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving your wonderful association. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. Yashmati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Vishwamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga Ki Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving a wonderful association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vanita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga Ki Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every day and giving a beautiful association. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody else who would like to announce their name?
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preethi Vilasini Devidasi from California. Just give me a few minutes.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga Ki Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving a wonderful association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga Ki Jai. Thank you, Mataji, for joining and giving you a beautiful association. Hare Krishna.
Can we start recording Mataji now?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I would like to start by sharing a quote by Srila Prabhupada Ji. If a person hears about glorifies, meditates upon, worship, or simply offer great respect to the Supreme Lord, who is situated within the heart, the Lord will remove from his mind the contamination accumulated during many thousands of lifetimes. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I welcome you all once again to Bhakti Sangha Japa Conference Call. Today we are very fortunate to have our grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji on the call. Thank you, Mataji, for giving your wonderful association and for enlightening us on Bhagavad Adi Khanda, Sri Caitanya Adi Khanda, chapter 9, verse 40 to 41. Prabhupada Ki Jai, Guru and Gauranga Ki Jai. Please take over the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Matajis and Prabhujis. Is my voice audible?
It's a little
Yes,
low, Mataji.
Say that again.
Yeah, it is little low, as Mataji said. First it was okay, but then now I felt little low.
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, for me it's okay. Shivani Mataji, how do you feel?
Yes, Mataji is good. Thank you.
Okay. So in case there are internet issues or my voice breaks, just let me know, or if you lose me, let me know so that I can probably log in from a different device. Okay?
Sure, Mataji.
Thank you so much. So we can get started. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. My humble obeisances to all the devotees on the call. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Sri Caitanya Bhagavata. This is chapter 9, Lord Nityananda's childhood pastimes and travel to holy places. And we are covering verses 40 and 41 today. So you all know that in this series, what is happening is that Lord Nityananda's childhood pastimes are discussed. And Nitai, during his childhood, he has enacted various pastimes. He loved performing different dramas in his neighborhood. So he and all the children around him, they would gather together every day and they would perform different acts from the life history of Lord Sri Krishna and Lord Ramachandra. So that was his regular routine, and we have seen that from Krishna's pastimes, he was performing different acts like the birth of Krishna, and then his childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, then his youth pastimes in Vrindavan, and then we also saw in the previous session that he moved on to Mathura pastimes. So in Mathura pastimes, the entering into Mathura, he giving mercy to the Sudhama flower maker, the weaver, the washerman, and then after that, how Krishna actually gives mercy to Kubja. So like this, all these pastimes were discussed, and Nityananda Prabhu, you can imagine, as a little beautiful young boy, he was enacting all of these pastimes, and all of these pastimes were so realistic. It was appearing that Nitai probably had a previous experience of all these pastimes, which is true, because he is non-different from Balaram. So like this, the people were really amazed looking at the wonderful pastimes that little Nitai would do, and he would get so involved in the role and he would mesmerize everyone around him. So in the same flow, we are now covering verses 40 and 41. So after covering the pastime of entering Mathura, what did Krishna do? Obviously, Krishna would then fight with Kuvalayapida, which is the elephant, and then he would fight with Mustika Chanura, who are the wrestlers, and then kill Kamsa. So those are the pastimes that we are going to see today. And as always, what we will do is we will read the verse, we'll read the commentary, Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then jump back to Srimad Bhagavatam for our content, which is always very, very sweet to discuss. Okay. This is Adi Khanda, chapter 9, verse 40 and 41. Kuvalaya Chanura Mushtika Malla Mari Kamsa Kari Kahare Padena Chuli Dhari. They enacted the pastimes of killing Kuvalaya elephant and the wrestlers Chanura and Mushtika. Thereafter, Kamsa was grabbed by the hair and thrown onto the ground. Anyone would like to tell what is Malla? Mallavira? Who does Malla? What is Malla? Malla is Malla Yuddha. Have you heard about it?
Mataji, wrestling.
Yes, so Malla is very commonly used. It's the word used for wrestling. So he actually he enacted the pastimes of killing the Kuvalaya elephant, which was the elephant that was stationed to challenge Krishna, and then he killed the Mallaviras, the wrestlers, right? So you say Malla Mari, so he killed them, and then who are the Mallas? Chanura and Mushtika. Thereafter, Kamsa Kari Kahare Padena Chulidhari. So he grabbed Kamsa by the hair and threw him on the ground. So this is what Krishna did. Let's see the commentary. The word Kuvalaya refers to the king of elephants named Kuvalayapida, who on the order of Kamsa was stationed near the wrestling arena to kill Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.43 verses 13 to 14 it is stated, the Supreme Lord Krishna, killer of the demon Madhu, confronted the elephant as he attacked. Seizing the trunk with one hand, Krishna threw him on the ground. Lord Hari then climbed on the elephant with the ease of a mighty lion, pulled out a tusk, and with it killed the beast and his keepers. So how did Kuvalayapida die? With his own tusk. So Krishna pulled out Kuvalaya's tusk and killed him with the tusk. Chanura, one of the wrestlers appointed by Kamsa to kill Balarama and Krishna, was one of the wrestlers appointed by Kamsa to kill Balarama and Krishna. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.44, verses 22 to 23. No more shaken by the demon's mighty bows than an elephant struck with a flower garland, Lord Krishna grabbed Chanura by his arms, swung him around several times, and hurled him onto the ground with great force. His clothes, hair, and garland scattering, the wrestler fell down dead like a thunderbolt. Mushtika is one of the wrestlers appointed by Kamsa to kill Balaram and Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 44, verses 24 to 25, it is stated, similarly, Mushtika struck Lord Balaram with his fist and was slain. Receiving a violent blow from the mighty Lord's palm, the demon trembled all over in great pain, vomited blood, and then fell lifeless onto the ground like a tree blown down by the wind. The word mal or mal is to hold, meaning a soldier or a wrestler or a champion. So Mallavir, right? So that's what it is. Very nice. So what did we see? We saw the pastime of Nimai enacting the pastime of Krishna killing Kuvalayapida, Chanura Mushtika, and later Kamsa. Okay, so Kamsa was grabbed and thrown down in the arena. What happened after that? Kamsa was killed. So Kamsa Vada means to kill, right? Kamsa Vada Kariya Nachaya Shishu Gane Sarvaloka Deki Hase Balake Range. After killing Kamsa, the Lord danced with his friends in such a way that everyone watching began to laugh. The phrase Kamsavada means to, that is killing Kamsa. It is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 44, verses 34, 36 to 37. As follows. How is it described? As Kamsa thus raved so audaciously, the infallible Lord Krishna, intensely angry, quickly and easily jumped up onto the high royal dais. Lord Krishna, whose fearsome strength is irresistible, powerfully seized the demon just as the son of Tarkshya might capture a snake. Who's this Tarkshya? Anybody? Any guesses? And Numa, what is that?
Rakshit's father.
Yeah, but whom are they meaning here? Who is this? Tarkshya? Tarkshya is? Who captures snake usually? Especially in
Garuda.
yeah. That's one of his names, Tarkshya. It's one of his names. So Garuda, just like how the Tarkshya might actually capture a snake. Okay, grabbing Kamsa by the hair and knocking off his crown, the lotus-naveled lord threw him off the elevated dais into the wrestling mat. So a very honorable mat. He threw him onto a wrestling mat. Then the independent lord, the support of the entire universe, jumped onto the king. As a result, Kamsa lost his life. We are going to see these pastimes in detail from Srimad Bhagavatam using the commentaries of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I only read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I know there are other commentaries as well, but I didn't have the time to put it together. So I'm just going to actually just do Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur if it's okay with all of you. Okay. So these two pastimes, so bear in mind Nima is enacting it. So you should visualize not Krishna enacting these pastimes. You have to visualize in your mind that Nima is doing all of these pastimes. All of these pastimes were already done by Krishna. Okay. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapters 43 and 44, these pastimes are described. Chapter 43, what does it talk about? It talks about the killing of the elephant Kuvalayapida. And then chapter 44 talks about the killing of Kamsa. So how did all this unfold? Krishna, after he entered Mathura and he gave mercy to all these very wonderful devotees, like the flower maker and the, you know, he also helped the weaver, and then he killed the washerman. He gave mercy to Kupcha. After all these entry pastimes into Mathura, the next day morning, when everyone was resting, actually the entire entourage had come from Vrindavan. Nanda Maharaj and all his men had also come, right? So they had all come in bullock carts, but Krishna and Balram, they proceeded ahead of the rest of the entourage with Akrura. So if you can rewind in your mind the pastimes of Krishna book, you would know that Krishna first arrived, and then after some time the rest of the people arrived. So as soon as Krishna arrived, he went inside Mathura, he had a good look, all the people, they came out and they were all trying to catch a glimpse of Krishna's beauty, and all this entering into Mathura pastimes are described. But the cowherd men who had come in the bullock carts and, you know, with all their paraphernalia, they all rested on the banks of the river Yamuna that night. So Krishna, after having a good sightseeing of Mathura, he also went back and joined his team there on the banks of the river Yamuna, and they all rested. The next day morning, Krishna woke up and then he went to the river Yamuna so that he could wash his face and brush his teeth and do all the morning chores. So he goes there, and when he's trying to freshen up, at that time suddenly he started hearing drum beats. Okay, so he was hearing lot of noise, lot of announcements and drum beats and all of this. So it was an announcement for the wrestling match, that the wrestling match would soon begin. So hearing these announcements as they were washing their faces and hands, immediately Krishna and Balram near the river Yamuna, they decided that they should immediately go to the wrestling arena. Just like young boys, right? If there is some interesting announcement that is being made, there's an interesting event, immediately they want to go to that spot. They're not worried about anything else. They're not worried about their meals, or they're not worried about telling their parents. They're not worried about anything. So immediately after freshening up, they start running towards the arena. So who went? Krishna and Balram. They go towards the arena. Now at the entrance of the arena was stationed this huge elephant by the name Kuvalayapida. So he was like really huge. This entire pastime of killing Kuvalayapida and Kamsa, though it sounds like it is a very gory pastime, so much killing, and it's just a show of Krishna's opulence, that he's the supreme lord, he's in control of everything. Still, these pastimes, they have a downpour of sweetness as well in them, because anything to do with Krishna is very sweet. Every little act that Krishna does is very attractive and very sweet. Even the killing pastimes that Krishna performs is so attractive that it invokes some sort of an attraction in the heart, and one feels very happy. Though killing is not very happy, but when it comes to Krishna, there is always a sort of an excitement and happiness in the heart. Okay, so as we go through this killing pastime as well, there is going to be a lot of satisfaction in all of your hearts. So what did Krishna do? He went there and he tried to enter the arena. But then at the entrance of the arena was this huge elephant. He was the king of elephants. Okay, so he was really huge. He was the best trained elephant ever. So that huge elephant was stationed at the entrance. And he was not alone. The elephant also had his trainer with him. So these trainers, they give instructions to the elephant, you know, what the elephant should do. And then the elephant acts. The elephant, Srila Prabhupada, in some of the commentaries, especially in the Gajendra Moksha section of the 8th canto, he says, elephant is dumb. Okay, by nature, the animal is a little dumb. Why is he dumb? Because he's got so much strength. He's so big. Yet, he just carries some logs of wood on his back. He can be easily trained, and he just listens to his master and he does such things. Right? So though he has so much strength, he forgets his strength. He can actually trample everyone and go. But he doesn't do that. He agrees to get tamed. He agrees to carry a load behind his back. So this is the nature of an elephant. Now this elephant, he was being prodded by his trainer. What was his trainer trying to do? His trainer was indicating to the elephant to attack Krishna. So the minute Krishna saw that there is some evil intention, what he did is he understood it was time for a good fight. So Krishna, he took off his shirt, just like how fighters, when they have to get ready for a good fight, what do? They show their muscles, they get ready. Now here is our little delicate Krishna. He surely doesn't have muscles, no six pack, none of that. But then to get ready for a fight, he takes off his shirt, he tightened his belt, okay, because you have to get ready for a fight. And then he had these garlands and different chains and dangling objects. So he just took all of that and placed it over his shoulder so that it doesn't come in the way when he's fighting. And then he took his curly locks of hair. Krishna has very soft curly hair. So he took those curly locks of hair and he tried to tuck it within his turban. But then he realized that maybe, with a lot, when he's fighting, right, he has got to move about a lot. So this curly hair might actually come again, fall down and fall on his face. So he decided that he would tighten up the. So he took a little piece of cloth, tied his hair behind, okay, he made a knot and then tucked it inside his turban, and he got ready. He got ready for the fight, just like how any fighter would get ready. Then he looked at the driver of the elephant. He said, "Hey, you trainer, you move aside at once. Let me pass. And if you don't do it, I will send both your elephant and yourself to the abode of Yamaraj." Now, it's interesting that Krishna said, "I will send you to the abode of Yamaraj." Who's talking this? Krishna, who's the controller of Yamaraj, is telling this trainer that he's going to send him to the abode of Yamaraj. There is another meaning for the abode of Yamaraj. It means that actually it's interesting that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he comments that Yamaraj, Yama means actually control of the mind. So by the control of the mind, what is the destination of people? The people get liberation when they are able to control their mind and perform certain austerities. Where do they go? They enter liberation. So Krishna is indicating here that I will give you liberation. He's not telling I'll send you to Yamaraj's place. Actually, he means by the process of control of mind, whatever destination one may achieve, I will give you that destination. So now you please move. So having said that, he warns this elephant keeper and the elephant itself. And at the same time, when Shukadev Goswami was telling this story to Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami was trying to calm Parikshit Maharaj, because Parikshit Maharaj was getting very anxious, like all of you are getting very anxious. Here is little Krishna, he's a young, delicate boy, and here is a huge elephant. Obviously, anyone would get worried what would happen to Krishna. But then Shukadev Goswami, he pacifies Parikshit Maharaj, telling, don't worry. By Krishna telling these words, he's trying to tell that he's going to give liberation to both Kuvalaya Pida as well as the elephant keeper. Okay, so the sweetness of all of Krishna's pastimes is that Krishna always awards the best for his devotees. Whether it's a devotee or non-devotee, that is a different story. Okay, any living entity, Jivere Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. Any living entity is the servant of Krishna. So Krishna is equal to everyone. There is no question of distinction for Krishna. So whenever Krishna goes face to face with anyone, he wants to give them the best. Now here is Kuvalaya Pida, and here is this insignificant elephant keeper. Krishna wants to give liberation even to the elephant keeper. So he tells that, and he who is the master of time, he's telling that I will send you to a place where time can never, ever affect you. So having said this, Krishna, he moves forward. He catches Kuvalaya Pida by the trunk, because now Kuvalaya Pida was ready to attack based on the instigation of the elephant keeper. Kuvalaya Pida moved forward, and immediately Krishna caught his trunk with his left fist. Okay, and then at first the elephant, he was a little startled. Who's this catching me by the trunk? After catching Kuvalaya Pida by the trunk, Krishna gives him a good punch. Okay, so as soon as Kuvalaya Pida gets a punch, Krishna, he immediately slips out from Kuvalaya Pida's grasp. As he's holding the trunk, he slips out and he disappears between the legs of Kuvalaya Pida. Now here is a four-legged animal. Krishna just runs between the legs. First he catches the trunk, he gives him a punch, and Kuvalaya Pida is looking around. He leaves the trunk and then he goes behind the legs that are as big as pillars. So Kubalaya, you've seen elephants, right? Elephants have very huge legs. So those pillar-like legs, and imagine the biggest of the elephants was chosen for this task. So Krishna ran behind the legs. Now obviously when someone has gone behind the legs of an elephant, can the elephant see them immediately? It's very difficult for that person to catch a glimpse of where this person is. But however, elephants have a strong sense of smell. So with the help of the smell, he could detect where Krishna is. And you know from scriptures that Krishna has the most fragrant smell, right? Guru, camphor, musk, all of these put together. If you put all these different flavors, fragrances together, that would be somewhere close to Krishna's fragrance. So obviously he has a very strong scent. So the elephant, he could detect him with the scent, and he could understand behind which leg Krishna was hiding. And he was trying to pull Krishna again with his trunk, putting his trunk behind his legs, trying to catch hold of Krishna. But then our playful Krishna, he cheated the elephant in very, very different ways. So he was jumping from one leg to the other, and he was playing hide and seek behind the legs of Kubalaya Pida. He was showing his remarkable capabilities. So who can catch Krishna, right? Krishna can dodge anybody. So he was playing a beautiful dodging game behind the legs of Kubalaya Pida. But then again, Krishna thought, okay, let Kubalaya Pida catch me, let me have some fun. So he made himself a little available, and immediately Kubalaya Pida, with the help of his smell, he reached out his trunk and he caught onto Krishna once again. Krishna allowed himself to be seized by the elephant's trunk. Okay, no one can catch Krishna unless he decides to surrender, he decides to get caught, right? Like the same thing happened in Damodar pastime. Was it easy for Mother Yashoda to tie him up? No, when Krishna decided, I will get tied up, that is when Krishna gets tied up. So Krishna decided, okay, let me get caught. He wanted to have some fun. So he said, okay, and immediately the elephant caught him. And then as he was being caught by the elephant, Krishna told the elephant, you want to display your strength or what? And he again got off the trunk, because now it was time for him to play a little more. So as he was getting caught by the trunk of the elephant, he released himself, like how he would do when he was in the coils of Kalia. He released himself, and then he went back, and then he caught hold of Kubalaya Pida's tail. Okay, so now if you catch hold of an elephant's tail, it's not going to be easy for the elephant, because the elephant cannot reach you. Okay, so he caught hold of the elephant's tail, just like how Garuda might catch hold of a snake. So this is what we saw in the commentary as well, right? So just like how the son of Tarkshya would capture a snake, now this tail is also like a snake. So our Krishna caught on to this tail, and then he started pulling the elephant. And Krishna would, if Krishna pulled the elephant's tail to the left, the elephant would try to move a little. Then again he would try to pull the tail to the right. So he kept swinging like this, holding on to Kubalaya Pida's tail. Just like how he would swing on to the tails of different calves and run around. The calves would get scared and they would start running around in the land of Vrindavan, right? You see the childhood pastimes of Krishna. When Krishna was a little kid and he started crawling, Krishna and Balram would catch hold of the tails of different calves, and then the calf would get very scared and it would start running, and they would be dragged along the land of Vrindavan amidst all the dung and urine of the cows. So this is the description of what happens in the land of Raja. So similarly here, Krishna has not forgotten his early childhood pastimes. He performs the same pastime holding on to Kubalaya Pida's tail. So he tries to swing holding the tail of Kubalaya Pida, and Kubalaya Pida was in great distress. He couldn't catch Krishna, and he was moving left and right with his bulky body, and still Krishna was having so much fun, because this holding this tail was like swinging around. So as Krishna would go left, the elephant would try to move to the right. So like this, he used his strong body, Krishna, he used his strong body to swing around with the help of the elephant. And then Krishna left the tail, and then he jumped forward. He came in front of the elephant face to face, and he slapped the elephant. He slapped the elephant, and then he ran away. Kubalaya Pida was so angry by this. He started chasing Krishna as Krishna ran away after giving him a tight slap. Now, Krishna, he would run, Kuvalayapida with his bulky body, he would try to run behind the Lord, and Krishna was very, very swift. So Krishna maneuvered very easily. It's very easy to maneuver, right? If you're very fast and swift and there's a bulky elephant running behind you. So he outmaneuvered the elephant and made him trip and fall. From time to time, Krishna would slow down so that the elephant would not assess the speed properly, and then the elephant would trip. So then again, he would run very fast and then he would slow down. So he would do all these things so that the elephant would trip and fall. So that is what Krishna did. He dodged about and he played he playfully fell on the ground and then quickly got up. What he finally did was, so this kept happening and the elephant was about to trip. But at one point, Krishna, he decided to, just like suddenly fall onto the ground, cheating the elephant, and the elephant would stop and he would put his head down such that his tusks would bore into the earth. Okay, so the idea that Kuvalayapida had in his mind is that with his tusk he would actually bore down Krishna onto the earth. So if Krishna was fallen, just imagine a huge elephant with a very sharp tusk comes and pokes you like that. What will happen to the person beneath? They would die, right? So this was the plan of Kuvalayapida at this point. So Krishna, he purposely acted like he tripped and he fell down, and he was waiting for the elephant to come and then poke onto him. But then as the elephant's trunk was coming closer, Krishna, he immediately slipped away from that point, and the tusk of the elephant actually went into the ground. Now Krishna, again, what he did was he pulled out the tusk, okay, with his hands, with his bare. He pulled out the tusk as the elephant was fallen like that, because it's very difficult once an elephant has completely fallen down with his knees down. It's very difficult for him to get up with his tusk onto the earth. So what did Krishna do? He pulled out the tusk, and then he took that tusk, he held on to the trunk, he sat on the elephant, and then with the same tusk of the elephant, he actually killed the elephant. Not only did he kill the elephant, he also killed the keepers of the elephant. So this is how Krishna killed Kuvalayapida. But what happened to Kuvalayapida? As we already explained in the beginning itself, Krishna is the giver of liberation. So it is a great fortune to be killed by Krishna, and immediately not only was the elephant liberated, but also the keeper of the elephant. Actually it says keepers, so there were multiple keepers. Keepers of the elephant were also liberated. Now these these tusks, they were really huge. Okay, like tusk is like the teeth of the elephant, right? So it's very, very long, ivory tusks. So Krishna took that tusk, and because it was his weapon, right, with that weapon only he killed. So he put that weapon on his shoulder with drops of perspiration on his face and drops of blood from that tusk. He started walking like a mighty lion. This is how Krishna and Balaram, they each one of both of them, there were two of them, there were two tusks for the elephant. One of the tusks Krishna put on his shoulder, the other tusk Balaram put on his shoulder. So they felt that this was the weapon that they had earned, and they started walking amidst the arena. So seeing this beautiful sight, now you might think, oh, it's a gory sight. No, it was very beautiful to behold, because it is the Supreme Lord here who's the most attractive. So everyone in the arena, they were just so amazed. They were so amazed, and they were glorifying Krishna in various ways. So everyone, each one of them had a particular rasa for Krishna, right? Every living entity has a particular relationship with Krishna. So all the people present there in the arena, they had different rasas with Krishna. Some of them, they had parental affection. They were thinking, how beautiful are these two boys. So with lot of love and devotion, they were glorifying him in the mood of Vatsalya rasa. There were other young girls who thought them to be the most attractive in the entire universe. So these girls were glorifying him in that mood. Like that. There were others in Dasya Rasa. They were thinking how nice it would be to serve these boys. So like that, people in different rasas, they were enjoying and just drinking Krishna's beauty with their eyes. So like this, Krishna, after he finished Kuvalayapida and he took the tusk, and he was, dancing around and walking in that arena. Everyone enjoyed Krishna's beauty. Krishna is described as Rasovai Saha in the Upanishads. That means one who is the abode of all the rasas. So all this was manifest in this pastime. There was a downpour of sweetness, though it appears to be a killing pastime. So now Kuvalya Pida was dead. Now when Kamsa heard that Kuvalya Pida was dead, Kamsa was always disturbed by anxiety. We all know that Kamsa was in constant fear right from the day he heard this Asharira that Krishna would be killing him, the eighth child of Devaki would be responsible for his death. From that very second, he was infested with constant fear. So every second of his life, what was the fear? His thoughts were revolving around Krishna. He was fearful of Krishna. So the one who was always disturbed by anxiety at this point in time became overwhelmed with anxiety. So his anxiety reached a zenith. Okay, it reached such a high point when he heard that such a mighty elephant, Kuvalyapida, was killed by the of Krishna. What did Krishna do? He just picked the tusk of that own elephant and then he killed him. So Kamsa, he was really worried about this whole thing. He became overwhelmed with anxiety. And meanwhile, in the arena, the rest of them, they were singing pastimes of Krishna, they were singing his glories, they were recollecting because they all heard that this boy had performed some amazing pastimes in Vrindavan. The same boy had killed Putana, he had killed Trinavarta, he had killed Agasura, Bakasura. So they were singing all these pastimes. Oh, do you know it is this boy who killed these different demons that were sent by Kamsa. So all the ladies and men and the boys and the girls in the arena, they were all singing Krishna's glories. So while they were singing Krishna's glories and different instruments were being played, at that time suddenly the wrestlers Chanura and Mushtika appeared on the scene. They both were sent by Kamsa. Okay, Kamsa didn't show up still. So he heard the news that Kuvalyapida was dead. He became very anxious, but then he thought, okay, the elephant was not a success, but my wrestlers who are trained by me, they can definitely never be a failure. They are the best of the wrestlers and the strongest of the men. So if Krishna and Balram can go one-on-one for a wrestling match with these wrestlers, these delicate boys will not stand a chance. So thinking like that, he sent Mushtika and Chanura. So now Chanur, he appeared on the scene and then he called out to Krishna and Balaram. He said, "O Nandasuna, O son of Nanda, O Balarama, you both are very respected by everybody and I've heard that you're very skillful in wrestling. We have heard about your prowess. We know in Vrindavan that when you go out to play, look at what Chanur is telling. So he says, when you go out to play, I know you have some practice in wrestling. Because you boys, you play wrestling games. You cowherd boys, for your entertainment, what you do is you play with each other by wrestling each other. That is what your activity is. So I know that you are now trained in wrestling. So you can easily come and wrestle with us." What Chanura was telling is that your playful games, they are good enough. That is a good enough training for you. You have become great wrestlers. We have heard about your glories. So why don't you come? Why don't you come and wrestle with us? So Krishna, he said, "Oh, we are just simple forest dwellers. And what wrestling do we know? And what match are we for you? We are simple, delicate boys. And you guys, you have big muscles and you're like very, very strong men. So what match are we for you?" It is said that one must fight with one's equals, not with someone who's very delicate and who will be killed at any minute, right? Like someone who's very soft and delicate. Why would you go and fight with them? So we are soft and delicate little boys. Why are you thinking of fighting with us? Krishna was asking. Then Chanur said, "No, our duty is just to please the king. The king will be very pleased if you show your prowess or whatever you have learnt in the forest of Vrindavan by wrestling. If you show that here, the king will be very happy. Our duty, primary duty is to make the king happy. So come on, you can wrestle with us. Then Chanur said, you're telling that you're a very little delicate kid. That is not at all true. We have heard about whom all you have wrestled with, whom all you have killed. So we know that you are not just an ordinary young man. You guys are very, very strong. And not only that, here in Mathura, we ourselves witnessed how you killed Kuvalyapida. It is not easy to kill a mighty elephant. You have done that. So definitely you have enough power. Now come on, come and show your prowess against me. So Chanur and Mushtika, they challenged Krishna, and Krishna smiled and he said, okay, if that's what you want, we are ready. So Chanura was taken on by Krishna and Mushtika was taken on by Balaram. So it was a one-on-one wrestling match. Wrestling matches 1:1. Okay, it's not like a group event where everyone comes and fights. No, one-on-one. So how did the wrestling match begin? Seizing each other's hands and locking legs with each other, the opponents struggled powerfully, eager for victory. They each struck fists against fists, knees against knees, heads against head, and chest against chest. So that's how they wrestled. And there's something interesting. So when you're fighting, usually you open up the fingers and then you latch the fingers and fight, right? Wrestlers, that's what they do. So this is how they latch fingers and they wrestle. You have seen the picture of Mushtika, Chanura and Krishna, the painting where they are wrestling. So they are keeping fingers against fingers, knees against knees, chest against chest, and they are fighting. It's interesting that here it is said fist against fist. So this is a new method of wrestling, it seems. So like doing this, okay, like this also they were wrestling. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes in the commentary, this is never heard of, right? Nobody has heard of wrestling with fist against fist. Have you seen that? No, you always latch fingers. But however, Krishna found out new ways of wrestling because he always creates something new every time. He's the master of all sweetness. So he does everything unique. And seeing that Krishna is creating new methods of wrestling, these wrestlers, they didn't stop Krishna. They thought, oh, if you can show your creativity, we know to show our creativity too. So they took it as a challenge and they also went fist on fist and they were fighting. So like this, they found innovative ways to fight and these began the fight, and it was a very exciting match between the two sets of people, Balram and Mushtika, Chanura and Krishna. So they were fighting very, very seriously. But however, the people in the arena, they started getting very worried. They were thinking, what sort of competition is this? It is not at all a fair match. Because if you see Krishna's body, right, he's the strongest of all strong. Balaram, he's the strongest. He's so powerful. But no authentic painting will show Krishna or Balaram with muscles or six packs, right? They are always very delicate body. But how are the wrestlers? Each of their muscles were like huge mountains. That's how the wrestlers were. So obviously for the people see in the arena, they were thinking, what sort of match is this? This is irreligious. No person following right religion would ever accept such a match. In fact, some people were telling we should actually stand up for this. We should not keep quiet, because if a person keeps quiet seeing irreligion, then he is incurs sin. So we should all stand up and we should stop this match. So like this, they were discussing among themselves. A wise person should never come to an assembly if he knows that the participants are committing acts of impropriety. So if someone is doing some sinful activity, we should not even go there. So some people, they started leaving the assembly. Others, they were screaming out, telling that no, this is not a fair match. We will incur sin. So please stop this match. But anyway, the match continued, and the demon, actually he's described as a demon, Chanura, because obviously he's fighting against Krishna. Anyone who's against the Lord is a demon, right? Demoniac mentality. So he's described as a demon. So as he was giving punches to Krishna, it felt like Krishna was receiving flower garlands. And the same analogy is described when Kaliya was actually fighting with Krishna. He was trying to bite Krishna. So Krishna felt that Kaliya is giving him kisses. So like that, same thing with Bhishma Dev's arrows. Krishna felt that, it was like the bites of a lover, and the arrows were like rose petals falling on him. So that's how Krishna perceives everything. Krishna, he loves Virya Rasa. So he enjoys everything. Whatever you give him, he enjoys it, and he takes it in the best spirit. So he was very happy. It felt like, flower garlands were falling on him. And Chanura, he attacked Krishna like a hawk, like the fury of a hawk, and struck his chest with his fists. It appeared very painful, especially for the people who were watching. They were all heartbroken looking at these delicate boys getting these punches like this. But Krishna was enjoying each bit of it. Then finally it was time to end the match. So Krishna grabbed Chanur by his arms, swung him around several times, and then hurled him onto the ground with great force. So imagine this huge wrestler. He was very easily picked up by Krishna by his hand. He was swung around like Dhenukasura, right? That's how Krishna kills him. Was it Dhenukasura or Arishtasura? I don't know. One of the demons. So they were swung around and then they were thrown down, right? So like that, he catches Chanura, he swings him around, and then he throws him down on the ground with great force. So imagine if you fall down like that with great force, what happens? Chanura's clothes, his hair, his garland, everything scattered, and he fell down dead. It was like a huge column falling down, a huge column collapsing. So you have seen these effigies, right? When during Dashera in Bengal, they have these huge effigies that they light on fire, Ravana's effigy, and then that huge effigy actually falls down, it collapses. Like that, this Chanura, who was so mighty and huge, he just fell down like a chopped off tree trunk. So if a tree is chopped off, how would it fall? Third, huge one, right? So like that, Chanura, he fell down dead, like a huge column, a falling effigy. And Mushtika, what happened to Mushtika? He was struck by Lord Balabhadra. He struck him with his fist, and immediately he was dead. It was a violent blow from the Lord's palm. Lord Balaram, he's the mightiest. He's got the maximum strength. So one tight slap, one violent blow, and what happened? Mushtika fell down trembling with great pain, and he was falling like a tree that was blown by the wind. So two beautiful analogies. One is a column or an effigy falling down, and the other one is a tree being cut off at its root and falling down with a big blow. So this is how the two wrestlers actually died. And then it was not just these two wrestlers who died. There were other wrestlers too. Who were they? There was one more wrestler by the name Kuta. He was another wrestler. He was a junior wrestler. So he came forward, and Lord Balaram, he very playfully and nonchalantly killed him with his left fist. Even when you read the story of how Hiranyaksha was killed by the Lord actually gives him a slap at the point below his ear and kills him. Very easily he killed him. So like that, Balaram, very nonchalantly, he killed him with his left fist. Left fist, how much energy do you have in your left hand if you're a right-hander? Not much, right? He just gave him a blow with his left fist and he died. Then there was another wrestler by the name Shala and Kuta. These both were junior wrestlers, so they came forward. And Shala, he came and he struck Krishna, and Krishna, he just tore him into half and killed him. And then after he was killed, there was another wrestler by the name Toshala, and in the same way he was also killed. So like this, very easily, Krishna, Balaram, both of them, they killed the remaining three wrestlers, Shala, Toshala and Kuta. Three more wrestlers came and all of them were killed. So after all these wrestlers were killed, Krishna and Balaram, they were enjoying their victory. They danced about and they were celebrating their victory. And when the arena saw this, they were all amazed. Oh, how come these young boys, they're able to do such magical victory? How is it possible? So all of them, with their friends and relatives, everyone were actually shouting joy. They were shouting in great joy and happiness. So everyone, all the saintly people present there, all the Vaishnava Brahmanas and all the favorable Brahmanas, they were all screaming in happiness. They were shouting joys of victory. But however, the Brahmanas who were employed by Kamsa and Kamsa's own men, they were all crying because they felt that, oh, their greatest wrestlers and the greatest elephant was killed by Krishna, and they were also worried for their king. So while the rest of them were shouting, excellent, excellent, some of them, Kamsa's men, they were really worried for Kamsa. Meanwhile, Kamsa, who had heard all this and who saw all this, got very, very angry, and he immediately started screaming. He said, "Oh, that fool Nanda, immediately capture him and arrest him." See, this is what happens with demoniac people, right? They, before they attack their opponent, first they try to destroy whatever relations that the person has. Their close relatives, all of them should be destroyed. That's the first agenda that any demoniac people generally have. And the same thing, most of our today's drama or whatever you have, movies, whatever you have, it's all inspired from our ancient scriptures. So you see, even that's what happens even now. They tell you that if there is if there's a villain and a hero, if the villain wants to take revenge, first thing is he tries to attack all the relatives of the hero, right? And that's how even movies are made today. So like that, he said, confiscate all of the cowherd's properties and arrest that fool Nanda. Drive the two wicked sons of Vasudeva out of the city. Confiscate all the cowherd's property and arrest that fool. And then catch hold of Vasudeva. Torture him. So like this, he starts giving instructions to torture the people who are associated with Krishna. So that's the first thing a demon would do. He gives such instructions, and then he immediately took up his sword and he instantly rose from his seat while he was watching. So Kamsa was the great king. He had a big throne. He was watching from the balcony. He was looking at everything. So he was getting very angry. He took a sword and he stood up in great anger, giving instructions to capture Nanda Maharaj and all the cowherd men. So now, when he was giving such instruction, Krishna, who's the most irresistible, even before anyone could understand what was happening, very swiftly he jumped onto the dais. So even before anyone could understand what happened, he just flies up to the dais. He just jumps up with great force onto the dais where Kamsa was standing. And again the same analogy is given, just like how Tarkshya would capture a snake. So just like how Garuda would go and catch hold of a snake without anyone could even understand, Krishna was right there on the dais where Kamsa was sitting, and he grabbed Kamsa's hair and he knocked off his crown. That's the first thing he did. And then he threw him off the dais onto a wrestling mat. So here comes our verse that we read today. And the independent Lord, the Swarat, okay, on whom this entire universe rests. He is the shelter of everything. Everything rests on the Lord. But what did the Lord do? That independent Lord on whom the entire universe rests, he threw himself on top of the king for support. Because if Krishna jumps onto the ground with great force, Krishna's body will be hurt, right? So this Kamsa, first he throws Kamsa down and then he jumps on Kamsa's fallen body because he wants a good cushioning effect. Now Krishna is the support of the entire universe, so nothing will happen to him. He is giving support even to this Kamsa, but he wanted support at that time. This is all Leela, you should relish it. So Krishna, for taking support, the support of the universe, jumped on Kamsa as a support, and he decided to actually now kill Kamsa. Actually, what happened by now is with Krishna, with great force, when he threw Kamsa onto the mat, right? He threw Kamsa from the dais down to the ground. That time itself, in that blow itself, Kamsa died. He died right there. But then, what Krishna did was, after he threw himself on Kamsa's body, he actually, it was like actually he's punching down Kamsa to death. But actually, he was punching down the dead body of Kamsa. Kamsa already died in that force itself when Krishna threw him. Like this, all the spectators, they were all thinking, oh, what happened to Krishna? They weren't sure. But actually, at this point itself, Kamsa had died. The spectators were not sure. They just thought that Kamsa was unconscious at this time because he was not opening up his eyes, and it looked like he was very, he had lost all his consciousness. But actually, nobody understood that Krishna had actually killed Kamsa by now. So then what did Krishna do? Just to prove that Kamsa was already dead, he pulled Kamsa's body by his hair and he pulled him around the arena. Just pulled the entire body of Kamsa and he walked around to prove to everyone that this evil king was finally dead. All the audience present there, they were really surprised. They didn't understand anything. This great Kamsa, who was such a big king, he lived in constant fear of Krishna. He kept thinking of Krishna every minute, every minute. He was so absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna that Krishna decided to give him liberation. Immediately Kamsa was delivered, and everyone in the arena were filled with astonishment, and they were thinking how Kamsa was actually favored by the Lord. So of course the supporters of Kamsa were all taken aback. They got very, very upset. And Kamsa had a few brothers. He had some younger brothers, and all these younger brothers, they immediately went forward to actually attack Krishna. So as all the people in the arena were shouting and there were so many cries, all these different brothers, they went and attacked both the son of Rohini, who is Balaram, and also Krishna. But the two lords very easily, just with the, especially Balaram with his club, it is mentioned that he killed all these brothers with just a strike. Very easily he just killed all of them. Just like how a lion can easily kill all the animals in the forest at one stroke. So like that Rohini Sutta, who's Balaram, he actually killed all these brothers. So after everyone was killed, there were no more opponents on the screen, on the scene. At that time, all the demigods from heaven, they all appeared. Brahma, Shiva, all the demigod, all the lords' expansions also appeared, and they all rained showers of flowers onto Krishna with great pleasure. So they chanted his praises, and all the wives of the demigod danced, and finally the wives of Kamsa, they also came onto the scene, and they realized that their great husband was dead. They first cried, they lamented. This is something that is very evident throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. You see in many places that the wives of certain demons were very wise. They all knew the greatness of Krishna, just like you all know the very famous story of Mandodari. Mandodari, when Ravana was killed, she came and she lamented. Not only Mandodari, all the different wives of Ravana, they all came and lamented. But then Mandodari told that, my dear king Ravana, you have been killed. You were trying to oppose the Supreme Lord. Here is the Paramatma of everyone. He is standing in front of me, and you are thinking that you are going to oppose Paramatma. How is it possible? You have actually been killed by your own desires and lust. He did not kill you. So similarly, you see the wives of Kalia. The wives of Kalia, they were very wise. They actually chastised Kalia when the Supreme Lord, they beg the Supreme Lord to give mercy to Kalia, and then they tell, oh, he's the Supreme Lord, and Kalia has actually gotten great mercy because Krishna has left his footprints on the hooves of Kalia, and they glorify the Lord. They understand the position of the Lord. Similarly, the wife of Bali Maharaj, she also tells, my husband was a fool. He thought he can actually challenge you, or he can stand in front of you, but you are the Supreme Lord. So somehow the wives of the Brahmanas, the Yajna Patnis, they were also very, very intelligent. They knew who the opponent was. Similarly, you see Vali and Tara knew who the opponent was. So like this, the wives somehow stand out in most of the stories. Similarly, here with Kamsa, the wives, though they lamented initially, they sang a very beautiful verse. So I just wanted to read this verse. I thought it's so beautiful, so I just thought of sharing it. Sarveshamiha bhutanam esha hi prabhavapayah gopta cha tat avadhyayi na kvachit sukam edhate. Lord Krishna causes the appearance and disappearance of all beings in this world, and he is their maintainer as well. One who disrespects him can never prosper and live happily. So it's a very beautiful verse where the ladies, they are telling Kamsa, this Krishna, He's the cause and disappearance of every single living entity in this world. Even if you are appearing here, if you think you're very strong, you're a great king, it is only possible by the mercy of Krishna. Because anything in this world can happen only by the mercy of Krishna. He's the maintainer. You're trying so hard to keep up your life and then attack Krishna. That will not work out, because ultimately he is your maintainer. Anyone who disrespects the Lord, how can he be happy? So that is what has happened to you too. So like this, the wives, they realized, they spoke very beautiful words, and they even glorified Krishna. So this is the beauty of the Supreme Lord. Wherever he goes, he is praised even by his enemies. That is one of the quality of the Supreme Lord. Even in the Ramayana, you see this over and over. Lord Ramachandra was praised by all his enemies. Even Ravana would praise him. So like that, even Krishna, Kamsa, though he was in constant fear, why was he in constant fear? Because he really thought that Krishna is capable of doing so many things. So like this, the wives, they praise Krishna, and then Krishna, he helps them perform the final rites. He gathers people and then he helps them perform the final rites. He encourages them to perform the final rites, and the final rites for Kamsa is performed. So like this, finally, after all these formalities were done, Krishna goes along with the Balaram, and they release Devaki and Vasudev. And when they release Devaki and Vasudev, and when Devaki and Vasudev hear about all these activities that have happened since Krishna and Balaram's entry into Mathura, they are amazed and they are filled with awe and reverence. So this actually blocks their Vatsalya Rasa, and they just fold their palms and they actually see Krishna as the Supreme Lord. But of course, Krishna doesn't like it. He doesn't like Vatsalya Rasa being impeded by reverence. So by his Yogamaya Shakti, slowly he dissipates all of that, and that is discussed in the next chapter. They were so in so much awe and reverence that it is described, they just folded their palms and they didn't even embrace their child, because they are seeing their child after so long. This was their meditation for so long, right? In the jail, Vasudeva and Devaki, they have been thinking about their child, when they would see their child. But now here comes the child, and then their mind is overwhelmed with reverence. They're not even able to embrace their child, they just fold their palms. But of course, even now, Krishna, he makes sure that with his Yogamaya Shakti, slowly he dissipates all of this. So these are the pastimes that is described in these two chapters in the 10th canto, in 43 and 44, the killing of Kamsa, Mushtikachanur and Kuvalaya Pida, and all of this, as sweetly as Krishna enacted these pastimes, with the same sweetness, our little Nimai was enacting all of these pastimes as realistic as it could get. Okay, because he has personally witnessed these pastimes, he has witnessed it, and it is there in his mind, and he was able to enact these pastimes so nicely that all the people in Ekachakra, they were all amazed looking at this. They were thinking, how did he know the finest of the details of these pastimes? Even we have read the Srimad Bhagavatam, but we didn't know so many details. So like that, they were thinking in their mind, and their mind were completely captivated by the beauty of our little Nimai. Okay, so we'll stop here, and in our next session, which is also going to be very exciting, we are going to see how Nimai played the role of little Vamanadev. Okay, so that is what we will see in our next session. We'll stop here. If you have any questions, comments, realizations, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Very, very, very beautiful nectarian class, Mataji. I could imagine as you were speaking and telling how Krishna killed the wrestlers and then Kansa and the elephant. Absolutely beautiful class. Thank you so much, Mataji. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or realizations, please go ahead at this time.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much. As Shivani Mataji was saying, we could imagine, you were telling that, imagine our little Nimai is, Nitai is playing this all.
Nimai throughout, it's actually Nitai.
Nitai is playing all these pastimes of Lord Krishna in his neighborhood. But I don't know if he came in the picture, but whole Krishna pastime was able to be seen for me. I mean, I am observed in Krishna pastime, as you are saying, that how Krishna has entered and how he fought with the elephants and then wrestlers, and then finally he killed other wrestlers, and then he killed Kamsa. Very, very beautiful, Mataji. I like the analogy that you are talking about the earth, right? Krishna is the one who is holding everything, and then but he take the support of Kamsa. It is like the sentence that you have told is very, very nice and very attractive. I mean, so nice, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. I have one question. You were telling that when he was trying to kill one of the wrestlers or elephant, but then he was telling that I am going to show you the kingdom of the Yamaraja, or like I'm going to take you there, right? But then whoever is killed by Lord, they got liberation, right? Saibja Mukti. So can
That's
you explain?
That is what I was telling, that when he said that I'm going to send you to Yamaraj, he meant he's going to give him liberation. How? Because Yama means control of the mind. What is the destination of those who control the mind and perform meditation and austerities? They attain Sayuchya Mukti. So Yama will send you to the abode of Yama. That's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reconciles everything. It's very beautiful the way he.
Oh, I missed that word, Mataji. Maybe sometimes my mind go here and there. But very, very beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much for your sweet association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Vinita Mataji, for asking the first question. I was also thinking, is it Nimai or Nitai? Throughout, I had the doubt. But then thank you so much. But wonderful. The best thing about your classes, Mataji, you enjoy so much. You are so immersed into the Leela that you make us. Personally, I don't have that much of taste, but because you have the taste, so you make us taste, Mataji, at least talking for myself. I had a doubt, Mataji. That last, when you said that Krishna finally goes and releases Devaki and Vasudev in Srila Prabhupada, of course, I might be wrong, but please correct me, Mataji. Srila Prabhupada's purport in Canto 1, when Kunti Maharani is, glorifying Krishna, there in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that Kunti Maharani and Devaki, they are in the level of awe and reverence, whereas Yashoda is not, and that's why Yashoda's position is much higher as a devotee. And while saying that, that's when Prabhupada is writing that, when Krishna enters the arena of the fight, in the Kamsa's place, Kamsa's kingdom, they were in their anticipation, like till he came, till he arrived. She was thinking, Devaki was thinking, I will hug Krishna and etc. But as soon as he saw Krishna, saw Krishna, she could not express that emotion, lost, and the awe and reverence emotion took over, the what do you say, the Vatsalya emotion. So it feels like that from that purport, it feels like that they were present, both the mother father, the actual biological mother father, were present at the time of fight. And but what you narrated was, it feels that they were not. So is it like the Acharya to Acharya vision difference, Mataji?
No, they were present means they were present in the jail. That's all.
They were not watching the fight. Oh, so maybe I would have misinterpreted it. Like, I felt like they were standing in the crowd. Like it says, like when Krishna entered, everybody had their own vision. You remember
Yeah.
that?
People in the arena had their own vision. Everyone looked at them. Some of them
Oh, I
looked.
thought Devaki and not Devaki, Devaki and Vasudev also had their. No,
In the jail
okay,
and they
they
were
were in the jail. Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
yeah, but I can share the verses as well. I have the verses in front of me, so I'll probably do a
Yes,
share
yes.
slides. Sure, double check. Yeah, here we go. So these are the verses. So what happens is, after consoling the royal ladies, Lord Krishna, the sustainer of the worlds, arranged for the prescribed funeral rites. Then Krishna and Balaram, they go and they release their mother and father from bondage and offer obeisances to them, touching their feet with their heads. So this is the
Mataji, what I understood, like even if they were in the arena, I mean, please correct me. Of course, you're much senior to me, Mataji. Even where they're in the wrestling arena, but they were, what do you say, handcuffed?
No, they were not in the wrestling arena. As far as I understand this, They were in the jail, so.
So according to your understanding, they couldn't see the fight, right?
Yeah, according to my understanding, they didn't see the fight because they
Okay.
go release. Yeah, we can even
Okay.
check the release, and I can, if there is a specific reference of which
Yeah,
location.
if when I come across, I'll send it to you, Mataji, in person. Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji. Once again, beautiful class, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else has any questions?
Hey Krishna Preeti, Danvat Pranams. Such a beautiful class. It was very nice to hear the Mushtika Chanura pastimes again. And thank you for narrating it beautifully as you always do. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा जी प्रीति विलासिनी कोटि कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम शिल प्रभुपाद शिल गुरुदेव की जय गोपीनाथ की जय माता जी we memorize that you always like she Brihat Bhagavatam that is the everyday Nanima is telling all the stories when we are going in the bed. So today's pastime is so so Mataji inspiring that you take us in a dham. Mataji still not qualified to enter in a dham. Every day, Mataji, when you pray, your presentation is just too hard because your japa is so attentively, and you are the main pillar of Bhakti Sangha, backside director, Mataji. Koti koti danvat pranam to your seva. Shil Prabhupada, Shil Gurudev ki jai, Gopinath ki jai. Hari Hari Gauranga.
Thank you, Mataji. You have it. You see everything in the best light, so that's why you're seeing goodness.
Thank you, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, for giving nice idea. Nighttime grandma bedtime stories preview show. We will start from today only. Thank you, Mataji. Because these stories of Bhagavatam, again we can hear in the night time. Before
Please start again, Mataji.
Yeah. So those classes only we can replay again, Mataji.
I was like, I just took it on for like more than a year, maybe, 2 years,
Hare Krishna Mataji, such a beautiful, beautiful class it was. And you absorbed us, everyone, in that pastime of Krishna. And we can see like visually like that, how Krishna was looked like and how the Balram. So it was very nice pastime. And which way you narrated and you told the story like Mataji says, grandma. But I was thinking since beginning when you started telling the story. So it was very nice and beautiful, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Yashomati Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions?
Mataji, we don't have any question, but I have seen in Atlanta, Mataji, you make a round and you teach all the stories, whatever you learn from Maharaj or senior brahmacharis and senior counselors, and you are chalti filthy library, Mataji, making notes, so many notes. So not in a one day the preacher become so strong, but so much dedication all the preachers have, Mataji. More than 15 years, you and Aji Lalitangi Mataji, Aji Kitira Sunde Mataji, always with the crowd of Vaishnava and with the crowd of so many our Shishi Bhagavatam, Shishi Chaitanya Chanamrut, Shishi Bhagavad Gita, all you are reading. So and your dedication, Edgy evening time also taking class, Edgy Sukeswari Mataji also teaching us a sloka. So koti koti danvat pranam to your sincere seva, Mataji. Hari Hari Gauranga. Learn so many things, Mataji.
Koti koti dandavat pranam to you too, Mataji. Note taking, sincerity, all this we take from you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Once again, I would like to thank our Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji for very, very beautiful and nectarian sweet class. Thank you so much, Mataji. Dear devotees, if there are no more questions or realization at this time, with the permission of her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji and all assembled devotees, I would like to close the call. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुएव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत वैष्णववृंद की जय। ब्रह्मचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री चैतन्य भागवत खंड क्लास की जय। हर ग्रेस प्रीति विलासिनी माता जी की जय।
Jai, Jai. Thank
हरि
you
बोल।
for sweet,
Thank you,
beautiful
Mataji.
class.
Koti koti dandat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Your
you.
voice did not come now.
Ah,
Class ended,
Vilasini,
right?
Yeah.
Your
we
voice
cannot hear you.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavritti ki jai.
Now
Jai.
we
Jai.
can
Now we
hear
can
you.
hear you. Hari bol.
हरि बोल।
Evil.